Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And the content that I'm going to show you this morning is some breaking news coming out of Colorado. They have passed more gun control again. In fact, even the article from the AP likens it to California or New York, but there's something underlying. The underpinning that's going on in Colorado is very different than the aforementioned states. Everything will be linked in the description box below, and please send this one out because it speaks to something larger than what's going on here, as we like to focus on this channel. And if you are new or you're a returning viewer, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, and making sure you turn the notification bell on. We need as many people as we can to get into the fold with us, to pass this information along twice a day, to pass the blessing of the Second Amendment along to the next generation. Thank you so much in advance for your consideration, but let's dive into Colorado because I've got some stuff here that I'm going to show you what they just passed. Now, it was a bleep show out there in Colorado, I'm going to be honest, because, that's what we're dealing with these days. But let's get to the point here. Colorado gun control bills progress. Semi-auto ban unlikely. Okay? Because if you'll recall, the main point of the gun control push, the March for Our Lives, Giffords.org, Every Town for Gun Safety, was an AR ban. Why is the semi-ban unlikely? If you've got the full control, and that's your stated purpose, there must be an underlying reason why you're not doing what you want. Now, I'm totally fine with it not going through. I think it's unconstitutional. I think it's dumb, and I don't think it has any outcome on the desired effect. However, let me show you what they're doing, because this speaks to something, as I mentioned. Denver, AP. Months after the state's latest mass situation, Colorado's Democratic-controlled legislature has passed a package of gun control measures that are expected to be signed by the state's governor and more closely align it with the liberal strongholds of California and New York. Let me show you what they're doing because this is really not great. The proposals include strengthening red flag laws, raising the firearm purchasing age to 21, opening the gun industry up to legal liability, and installing a 3-day waiting period after buying a gun. Now let's break those four down real briefly. 1, strengthening red flag laws. Now how on this channel I'm always saying that they enter the door with police and family members should be able to report somebody to have their guns taken without a court hearing, without an ability to face your accuser, which makes it unconstitutional. And then the next step is always, and maybe clergy, and maybe some lawyers, and maybe someone who's in your class, maybe your teachers. And all of a sudden, anyone can do it to you. This is the modus operandi. This is how they do it. But anyway, that's another video. Raising the firearm purchase age to 21. So when you're 18 in this country, you can take on hundreds of thousands of dollars in student debt to go to college, which you come out and you get a $40,000 a year job, if anything at best, so saddling your life with debt. Then you can enter into a mortgage to buy a home, you can get married, you can be drafted. But your constitutional rights, you don't get those till you're 21. This one specifically, not all those other ones. You can vote perfectly fine. We wouldn't want to infringe upon that one because that's a main voting block of the left. You can do all the different things. You have your freedom of speech, you have your adulthood, except when it comes to your Second Amendment rights. Anyway, I digress. Installing the gun industry legal liability. Now, that's kind of a moot point because in the federal system, you have the PLCAA. This is just an attempt to get a little notch in their belt. The next one, a 3-day waiting period after buying a gun. So now you're mandatorily mandating. I can't use mandatorily mandating. You are making it a mandate to say that you can't have your constitutional rights for 3 days because we think you might do something. This has no bearing on a positive outcome. It's just something that you want to control because you have a crush on waiting periods. Those are the 4 things they're doing, but yet a semi-auto ban is unlikely. Why? Let's get into that because this is the important piece. A measure set to be debated Wednesday that would implement a sweeping ban on semi-automatic firearms faces much stiffer odds and illustrates, wait for it, that even Democratic-controlled state houses don't have free rein on overhauling laws rooted deep in American culture. Rooted deep in American culture. Are you implying that our gun rights are actually a part of the fabric of our nation and that infringing upon them, banning them, and taking them would cause an upset in the democratic process and democratic power structure? I thought a majority of all people and all Americans were fully for AR bans. And yet in Colorado, where they just passed all of these, they're saying, whoa, let's not get crazy because after all, it is deeply rooted in American culture. And that's the point of this video. Do you see the juxtaposition? On one hand, they'll tell you it's common sense gun reform. Everyone understands that this is something that we need to do. A majority of the people support AR bans, but when it comes time to look at it, they go, whoa, it's rooted in our American history and culture and fabric. You can't have both ways. Let's continue, because that is a direct result to your influence. While deeply democratic states like California, New York, and Massachusetts have restricted semi-automatic rifles, the proposal in Colorado has revealed divides even among Democrats and incited ongoing contention between the urban and rural parts of the state, almost like it's an infringement upon the rest of the state because of 2 cities in Colorado that have now turned the entire state into a deep blue bastion. It's almost like they have some resistance because the Democrats have the cities, but everywhere else, the landmass in this country is red. You seeing the problem that's setting up? Let's continue. Democrats have collectively forced the other gun control measures through the House, Senate, and toward the governor's desk, but the semi-automatic firearm ban has not received the same urgency. Polis, who is a Democrat and the governor, has demurred from questions on the ban. It is a state where Democrats know well that going too far on gun laws can put them in political peril. I thought this was about the good of the society. I thought this was a common sense gun reform, and it made total sense. This was about saving one life. If just one life could be saved, don't look at abortion, just look at the one life that can be saved. But all of a sudden, whoa, there's political peril? Ooh, ugh. Do you see the hypocrisy, the game that they play? It's gross. Let's continue. I got one more thing for you, because the reason I'm showing you this is this piece right here. A decade ago, Colorado voters ousted 2 state lawmakers in first ever recall elections that came in reaction to the Democrats' support for tougher gun laws in the aftermath of the Aurora Theater shooting. So you've got historical precedents to get seats removed from Democrats 10 years ago, and they are still afraid of interrupting the deep-rooted historical context of the Second Amendment in Colorado. Is it just me, or maybe, just maybe, are they not as strong as they are posturing, and you have more power than you think that you do in Colorado or in any other state that they would do this? That's the point of this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.